Hi, my name is Mark Brown, and this is my journey deeper into God's Word. Well, this has been an extraordinary week. On Monday, we learned of the passing of Robin Williams. We learned that he took his own life, and it raised all sorts of questions. Why? Why would someone who's got so much, who's loved by so many, doesn't worry about money, has really interesting friends and an incredible life, why would he take his own life? Why? And then we learned some of the details, that he had suffered from depression. And questions were asked about that. Was that the reason? But lots and lots of questions. In my time in the Word today, I've been seeking to understand how God views depression and suicide. And I want to share with you what I have discovered. Well, the first thing I want to say is that my wife Christy and I responded. We felt led to start a page called Battling Depression and Anxiety, a Facebook page. And if you're on Facebook, I encourage you to search for it, Battling Depression and Anxiety. Already, I think it's got more than 7,000 people following it. And our aim in that page is to care for, to love for those who are struggling with depression and anxiety. But more than that, also to care for those and help educate those who know someone who is struggling with depression. I had a comment just this morning that I responded to where someone asked, my boyfriend is depressed. He's heavily depressed. This has never happened before. I don't know how to interact with him. And I was able to respond to that. And this discussion of depression and anxiety is very personal. It's something that I, from time to time, experience in depression, and Christy, from time to time, experiences anxiety. So this isn't just academic. This is something that comes from our experience. So let me talk about, from my experience and my journey deeper into God's Word, what depression means. Well, depression, if I were to summarize it, is feeling utterly alone. And suicide, which I will declare I have never been suicidal, but suicide is when you are so alone that you contemplate nothing but your death. That you feel so isolated and so alone. And in some ways that gives us a measure, maybe a small amount of understanding of what happened to Robin Williams. That even though he had so much in his life, was surrounded by so many people, including his wife and his children and all of these people around him, somehow he still felt inextricably, unbelievably alone. Let me read from the Psalms. Psalm 34. Psalm 34. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. A righteous man may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from all of them. He protects all his bones. Not one of them will be broken. The Lord is close. I actually looked at the Hebrew for the word close. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Because one of the realities is when you are depressed, when you are down, you feel alone. You feel like no one else gets this. No one else understands it, even though you can be literally surrounded in people. The word says in Psalm 34, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Now that word close means a personal relationship. It means a significantly close, and not just a proximity, but actually involved, deeply involved. We read in Isaiah 41:10, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. So as I read the word and I reflect on my experiences of depression, and I reflect on what happened to Robin Williams and to all the many people who succumbed to suicide and experience excruciating depression, the one thing I want to offer, and the one thing I share with myself, is at your lowest, remember you are not alone. Of course I have people who love me, who are around me. And if you have someone who is depressed and struggling in your life, then you need to let them know that you're there. Let them know that you're there for them. But more importantly than that is remembering that God is with me. God is close. God is really, really close. A number of years ago, I had a business meeting. Someone was interested in working for the organisation that I was involved in. He said, look, I'm a tradesman. I'm actually at someone's house. Would you mind coming to that house and we'll have a chat? And I said, sure, I'm happy. I'm actually in the neighbourhood. So I went into that house to chat to that tradesman about being involved in the organisation that I was with. And I remember walking in and seeing a girl, I guess around 16, very sullen, very sad, sitting in the lounge room on a couch. And I looked at her and I said hi, and she kind of acknowledged, and that was it. Then we sat in the kitchen and we talked. While we were talking, that girl walked past us to the backyard. I noticed her doing that. I didn't say anything. I finished my conversation and left. The next day I got a call from that tradesman. What he told me shocked me to the core. He shared that young girl had walked out to the backyard past us talking and had hung herself. And she was dead. What if I had intervened? Why wasn't I led to say something to her? Even if, I was there. It's possible I was there when she was doing the act. But why couldn't I do something? In that moment, she was utterly alone. Now, did she know God? I don't know. And I could have done nothing else. But she was incredibly alone. And this leads me to a very tough question, is what does God think of suicide? Well, let me put it this way. If someone has cancer and dies, God does not hold that cancer, that disease against them. If someone has such severe and debilitating depression that it causes them to make an irrational choice that ends their life, equally I cannot believe that God would hold that against them. Will MacArthur writes this prayer: O great and just God, no man among us knows what the sleeper knows, nor is it for us to judge what is between him and thee. And Wheeler is right. We don't know what goes on between God and someone who has suicided. And I will not accept the line that says suicide is a sin. What I believe and what the Bible shows me is that God is a loving and compassionate God and understands exactly what's going on in the heart of that individual. You know, even the great Paul struggled. We read in 2 Corinthians, this wonderful first missionary, this incredible giant of Christianity, Paul. And we read in 2 Corinthians 1 verse 8, "What we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers, about the hardships we suffered. We were under great pressure, far beyond our ability to endure." He was despairing. But listen to what he says. "So that we despaired even of life. Indeed, in our hearts, we felt the sentence of death." But listen to this. "But this happened that we might not rely on ourselves, but on God, who raises the dead." So here is Paul suffering and struggling, despairing. Literally, you can imagine, this is ridiculous. People want to kill me. I've been shipwrecked. I've been bitten by snakes. This is not a good life. This is not a comfortable life. And what does Paul say? Even in the despair, "It happened so that I may learn to rely more on God." So if you are depressed and you are struggling, and this is for me too, as I work through my depression when it happens from time to time, that is the moment I learn to rely more on God. And behind that, as I shared before, is that I realize I'm not alone. I realize I'm not alone. Now I want to finish that if you are feeling so much despair and so low, please reach out to someone like your pastor or your doctor. Reach out to your partner or someone close to you, a parent. And if none of those exist, I want you to message me. Put something in the comments or email me. Just message me. God bless.